But most people don't do the right thing. They just talk. And that's why, like on the Caravan for Peace with Javier Sicilia, we're out there sharing testimonies of the people that have died. There's a woman with us that lost 5 of her children, another one that lost 6. When they tell these stories, believe me, there's a lot of tears in the rooms, and the message gets to a lot of people, maybe that right person that will change the policies of what we're going through on the Caravan for Peace. And one of the themes is immigration. So Border Angels has the work that we do going to the desert, which we still do. You can see the picture on the first panel there. But we do a lot more than that. We do a lot more than just putting water in the desert, like you can see there. On the bottom, there's a picture of a park called Friendship Park. It's where San Diego and Tijuana meet. It's where the wall was being built. And when we started the caravan, that's where we started the caravan. We started it right at Friendship Park. And that's the wall that has led to more than 10,000 deaths. And I went there with Javier, and we gave a talk, and we had people on both sides of the wall. And we started our caravan, and from there we went to the University of San Diego to give a talk and have a mass. August 12th was a Sunday, and then that evening we had a big rally in Chicano Park in San Diego. We also do a lot of work. There's the speaking at schools. So I do a lot of work with the Southern Poverty Law Center, talking about an issue that you're all very familiar with. It's a disease that exists in every country. It's called racism. Those of us of color, which is virtually everybody in this room, are familiar with that. We're more familiar with it than those that are not of color. But racial profiling affects all of us, every single one of us. If you're white, it's a benefit. They'll give you the benefit of the doubt. They'll give you that job. They'll accept that excuse. If you're of color like us, it's not a benefit. You know, if you look at the prison system today, if I commit a crime and a blonde-haired, blue-eyed person commits the crime, same exact crime, I guarantee you that person serves less than I would, or you would. So justice is not blind. So what we do is we go around teaching tolerance, doing these programs across the country. We also formed another division in Border Angels that I started back in 2005. It's called Gente Unida, United People. And it was to speak out about these issues of racism. Because in 2005, we had a group in this country called the Minutemen. The Minutemen is a group that attacks migrant communities. And we were able to shut them down. You don't hear about the Minutemen anymore. They're still around, but not much anymore. And it was to expose these people for what they were doing and what they continue to do. Because, like Martin Luther King said, injustice here is injustice everywhere. So the Border Angels has the Gente Unida division. In 2005, we created that. And at the end of 2005, I got both groups together and we decided to do a caravan for peace, but it was called Marcha Migrante. Marcha Migrante, we left from San Diego, went all the way across country, including Chicago, and we said we need to rise up. We need to rise up and protest what's going on. Because in 2005, Proposition 187 was passed. It was called 4437. It was a bill that would attack the migrant community once again. They wanted to build a wall from the Pacific Ocean all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. Had that wall been built on September 10th, September 11th still would have happened exactly the same way. These walls do not work. The border between the United States and Mexico is 2,000 miles, from San Diego to Brownsville. 700 of it has fence. The other 2/3 does not have fence. So the wall is built with their cities, San Diego, Tijuana, and Paso Ciudad Juarez, and people cross through the desert. People cross through the mountains. So you have a situation in which people are crossing and dying every day. It's something that we just cannot, we cannot tolerate. So anyways, Border Angels continues its work. We go out there, we place water in the desert, we go out and we do these vigils. We have done what we did in 2006, which was Marcha Migrante. On February 2nd, we left San Diego, went to Washington, D.C., and we said we need to rise up and protest. We came here to Chicago, and we said we need to rise up, we need to march, we need to bring attention to these issues. We came back to San Diego on February 28th, and the marches started a couple of weeks later. The first big march was right here, March 10th, 2006. 400,000 people marched. On March 25th, 800,000 people marched in Los Angeles. On April 9th, 100,000 people marched in San Diego. 4437 was stopped. 4437. So every year we do a Marcha Migrante. Different themes, but it's always human rights. To hear the stories of white people cross, like Marco Antonio. To get people to vote in 2008. To go to visit with President Obama in 2009. We marched and voted, now it's time to deliver. American Dream or American Nightmare in 2010. And we're continuing with these efforts as we go across the country today. So it's important that we all participate in this process, because the person that's going to make the change in this world is the person that we look at in the mirror every day. Each one of us needs to participate in this process. Not one of the 10,000 people that have died expected to die when they were crossing the border. Everybody just simply wants a better life. And one of the things that we have on the back of the brochure that's very important is these myths. Because when people attack a community, what they do is they try to dehumanize us. They make us less than. They say that the undocumented people don't pay taxes. We've all heard that before. When was the last time you went to a store, and at that store, the clerk heard somebody speaking a different language, Spanish, Arabic, whatever, and the clerk says, I notice you're speaking a different language. Are you undocumented? Because if you're undocumented, you don't have to pay taxes on what you just bought. Never. Of course we pay taxes. We pay $7 billion a year just in Social Security. Undocumented people are criminals. We've heard that before. Not according to the Department of Justice. According to the Department of Justice, an undocumented person is 10 times more likely not to commit crime. Why are they going to risk their lives crossing in the desert to come over here to commit crime? They'll commit crime wherever they're from. Are there undocumented people that are criminals? Of course. Those are the ones that are highlighted in the news. Undocumented people are only here for the benefits. You know who the number one recipient for welfare is in this country? It's not people of color. It's actually American males that are white. Number one recipient of welfare in this country. But when you see news about crime or welfare, they always put pictures of people of color. They want to dehumanize us. There's a guy you're all familiar with, and he said those people only want to wave their own flags, speak in their own language, hang out in their own neighborhoods. That was one of the founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, talking about Germans. There's too many Germans in this country. We've never heard that there's too many Germans in this country, but there was a time. Too many Italians, too many Irish, too many Polish. Now they're saying too many Mexicans. This was our land in the Southwest. Regardless of that history, it was wrong to say there's too many back then, and it's wrong to say it now. So we need to speak out. We need to speak out. What happened with the Occupy movement? What happened with the Arab Spring? Well, we had our immigrant spring in the spring of 2006. And we continue to do that with the various actions that we all do. That's why it's important that we all get involved in the process. And you see the myths that are back, they're on the back of this brochure. And it's important that we know the facts, that we speak out, that we don't remain silent. Because if you do remain silent, you're part of the problem. When people say stuff, you need to know the facts and speak up. Because your parents have sacrificed a lot to be where you're at today. They'll want you to succeed. That's natural all over the world. So we need to do our part in what we're doing. So Border Angels continues to grow. Right now we're working on a couple of movies. We just did a movie with Josefina Lopez. Josefina Lopez is a woman that wrote a movie she wrote a play that became a movie, Real Women Have Curves. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. It was a play, it became a movie with America Ferrera. Well, now she's doing a movie called Detained in the Desert. And it's based on her experience with us on the caravan that we did, our 5th caravan, Marcha Migrante. So that'll be coming out in the fall. There's another one called Border Run with Sharon Stone. Probably you don't know who she is. That's going to be coming out in the fall. We're doing a couple of other projects. We're working with musical groups, Maná, Manu Chao, Bruce Springsteen, promoting human rights around the world because we need to wake people up about this issue. It's too easy to just kick back and let things happen, and that's why we don't have the power that we should have in this country. 1 out of every 6 people in this country is Latino, and we don't have the power that we should have at the White House. We have the most important election coming up in our lifetime this November. It's important that those of us that are 18 years old and that can vote, that we vote. Those that can't, they tell other people to vote. We're not going to tell you who to vote for, but it's important that we vote in this process. Because otherwise, we could go back to what we were doing 6-7 years ago. The country is turning around finally, but it takes time. It takes time. It's like a cruise ship. It's not a speedboat. You can't just change things just like that. Change takes time. And it takes all of us to participate in that change. And that's what we're doing. We, like I said, we do stuff not only here on the U.S.-Mexican border, but around the world. I was just in Europe. I was in Ireland, working with the Irish community. This is a worldwide issue. There's 250 million undocumented people in the world. Most of them don't live here. We have 11 million here in the United States. And of the 11 million people that are here that are undocumented, a third actually were able to get papers. Those aren't from south of the border. Those are people that came from Europe and from Asia. What they did is they got a student visa, a work visa, or a tourist visa. Their visa expired and they stayed. The other 2/3 do not qualify for visas. They're the ones risking their lives crossing the desert. So, with Border Angels, we're a faith-based group. Our mission statement is right on the cover. If I was hungry, did you give me to eat? If I was thirsty, did you give me to drink? And we could really use your support, starting a Border Angels chapter here. We have Border Angel chapters all over the country. A lot of them are in high schools, grammar schools. Most of them are in colleges. And we work with colleges all around the country. So I thought I would just come by here to share the story about Border Angels, let you know what we were doing, and hopefully there's some interest. You know, maybe somebody wants to start a Border Angels chapter. Maybe somebody needs help because their parents or their uncle could use some help. We have pre-immigration attorneys that work with us. So if you know of somebody that can use that type of help, let us know. Our phone number is right on the cover. Our website's right on the cover. This is a very serious issue, and if we don't speak out, we're going to end up on the wrong side of the situation. And it's important that we do speak out. That's why yesterday we marched here in Chicago. We're going to be here till tomorrow. Tomorrow we head over to Ohio, which is a battleground state. Make sure people get out there and vote. Then we go to New York, and we go to Baltimore, we go to Washington, D.C., and we'll be meeting with people at the White House. And we're continuing with all these projects today. So that's the Border Angel story, and I thought it was important that I would come in here, even if it was just for a little while, to say hello, to share some information, and to see if there was any questions or anything that we could help you with while we were here. There's about 150 of us here today in Chicago. We have people going to different schools all over the city, and then we leave tomorrow morning for a night. So thank you. Thank you all very much for listening, and I just want to see if there was any questions. Gracias. Any questions anybody might have?